In this lesson, we will look at the causes of the imbalance of the three forces. So even though several factors such as age, seasons, or even the time of the day can aggravate the natural forces in our body-mind system, there are a few reasons we can point out in general. Although there is a greater risk of your prakriti to become out of balance, it is important to remember that due to internal and external factors as well as the choices that we make in life. So for example, when it comes down to food and lifestyle, the other forces can also become imbalanced. Let's look at the causes of kapha imbalance. So we know that kapha is a force that is slow in action, steady in its position, and restricted in its movements. Without understanding these basic characteristics, if a person with this kapha prakriti leads a lifestyle that is slow in motion, this will only increase kapha, and they will become more slow as the years go by. As kapha is highly influential in the morning, the habit of waking up late can increase kapha even further. For a person with this prakriti, even a nap during the day can make heaviness and dullness in the body and mind. If this person is not moving physically and not active mentally during the day, the system can get all the signs of kapha vikriti or imbalance. Since people with this prakriti have the tendency of attachment, accumulation of material things, and following unhealthy routines, this can only increase the force of kapha and finally make them more of the slaves of these habits. The kind of food that is sweet, sour, and salty in its basic qualities can disturb the force of kapha. Habits of eating food too late in the evening and too early in the morning, adapting food as the companion or emotional eating when the mind is disturbed with sentimental and depressed feelings, as well as overeating, can also increase kapha. The type of food that is heavy, cold, and oily is not good, especially for the people with kapha prakriti. Fried food items like French fries, all kinds of chilled drinks and ice creams are also kapha aggravating. Let's have a look at the causes of pitta imbalance. Pitta is a fast in action, determined in its position, and prompt in its movements. If someone with pitta prakriti try to take advantage of these basic qualities without knowing how to press on the brakes to balance this force, it will accelerate to the highest and finally they run into the wall. They might experience burnout. Since the people with pitta prakriti are sensitive to heat, too much exposure to sharp and direct sunlight or being in the conditions, climate with excessive heat can cause health-related issues. Generally, people with pitta prakriti can have a tendency to be workaholics. You can engage in some activity, they forget to take enough rest. They avoid eating on time, which in turn aggravates the force of pitta. Considering that pitta has hot properties, eating sour, pungent, and salty food can increase the fire in the digestive system and increase this force. Other habits like use of alcohol, tobacco, eating processed sweets, deeply fried or too spicy food can also aggravate pitta. Since pitta is prompt on time and functions like a clock, skipping a meal or eating at irregular times can affect the digestive system and cause health issues in the long run. Drinking less during the day and eating while holding feelings of anger, irritation, or disappointment is also considered major reasons of pitta imbalance. Now let's look at the causes of vata imbalance. Vata is quick in action, it's indecisive in its position and continuous but unsteady in its movements. People with vata prakriti are generally sensitive to cold and turbulent situations. If they're not taking care of the body with warm food and warm clothes in the cold season, or not giving enough rest and relaxation by overworking or not going to bed on time, if they engage in the nightlife or late night activities, vata has a tendency to get aggravated. Also, being in the loud and noisy environments and atmospheres, using alcohol, tobacco can aggravate vata. It is found that doing strenuous activities like hard exercises and extremely adventurous sports can aggravate this vata force. Since vata is cold and dry and light in its basic properties, eating ice cream, chips, or popcorn, especially during the evening, which is the high vata time, can aggravate vata. And even though generally all bitter food has medicinal values, it can increase vata if it's overused. Other food that tastes astringent and pungent also seems to be vata aggravating. All the frozen or cold food and drinks can make issues in the lower digestive system, like colon, which is the primary seat of vata force. Preparing food without adding the digestive supporting spices or including too much food that is hard to digest can cause gastric trouble in the lower abdominal area. Even though raw food is one of the best sources of nourishment, uncooked food seems to be a little harder to digest for a vata prakriti person if not chosen carefully and eaten under right conditions. The habits of eating irregularly, skipping meals, eating less quantity than the body needs, or eating and drinking when holding the feeling of fear or anxiety can also disturb the force of vata further and create more imbalance.